This is Josh White with JW Math Tutoring. Today's video is going to go over Digital SAT Practice Test 4 from the Bluebook app, the Math section, Module 2A, the easier of the two second modules. So let's go ahead and get started.
But life is a dream the calculus could never predict.
All right, just getting ready to begin Module 2A of Practice Test 4 from the Bluebook app, the Math section. This is the easier of the two second modules. Again, what I call 2A. So just a couple things. First, this video may go over the allotted time for this section, and that's because there are some questions where I show multiple methods how to solve them. And second, of course, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and sign up for notifications. So here on the first problem, you're given a basic equation, and they want to know just what the value 8x is. So easiest way I think to do this one is just to solve the equation for x and get x equals 4. Divide 7 on both sides. So 8x, or 8 times 4, would just be 32. So correct answer for this is letter B, and you can just move on. Next question. Here we have something that just deals with percentages. You have this person who got 760 potatoes, saved 10% of them. How many harvested potatoes is that was saved? So this is just basically asking what is 10% of 760. So that's just 0.10 times 760. That's going to be letter B, 76. And I just want to show you one quick thing. In Desmos, you could, of course, just type, 10% of 760 and just get the answer directly that way as well. Next question. Here we have a student-produced response for number 3, and this is just basically a fairly basic unit conversion. You have 42 posters per minute per 1 minute. They want to know how many in an hour could this printer produce. So all we have to do is just take this and multiply it by, the conversion factor, which is 60 minutes in 1 hour. So you go ahead and you just multiply those together, and it's going to come out to 2,520. So the answer you would fill in here is just 2520. That's the number of posters it could print in an hour, and that's it. Move on to the next one. Number 4, here we have a bar graph showing how many cans all these different groups collected. But all it wants to know for this is how many were collected by group number 6. So if we look at the bar in group number 6, we can see it goes right up here to the line of 40. So correct answer for this one is just 40. That's it. No other work to do. You can move on. Here you have a quadratic function or parabola which is graphed. They just want to know what the value of the x-intercept is. So we're just reading off the graph and seeing that the x-intercept is right here at 7. So you just put in 7. You're not putting it in as an actual point. And that's it. Correct answer 7. We can move on. Next, for number 6, they give you a function and they just want basically to evaluate that when x is equal to 4. So you can just do 7 times 4 plus 2, 28 plus 2. Answer is going to be 30. However, I will also show you that if you just go to Desmos, you can type in this function. Just a linear equation, really. And then below that, you could just do f of 4, and it'll just give you the 30 right away. So if it's quicker, if you want to make sure you don't make a calculation error, just go to Desmos and do it in there. Next up, number 7, what's the perimeter of a square where each side is 45? So you can just add up 45, 4 times, or if you know the shortcut for perimeter of squares, just 4 times the side length. So 4 times 45 is just going to be equal to 180. So correct answer for this one is just 180, and we can move on to the next question. Number 8, we have a line, and they want to know what the x-coordinate is of the point which has a y-coordinate of 4 for this line. So the problem is, if you go through these answer choices, some of them are very close to each other, like 26 over 7, 24 over 7. Those are very similar because when you look at the graph here, you see, okay, when y is 4, okay, and then you go down, well, the answer is like something between 3 and 4, okay, and that's where both of these will be. The other ones you can probably eliminate, although 3.5 is still pretty, the choice A is still pretty close to them as well. So the way that I would do this question, the easiest way I think to do this question is to find the equation of the line, and then once we get the equation of the line, then we can figure out, basically by plugging in for 4, what it's going to be equal to. So I'm going to show how to do this in Desmos. So notice this line has 2 points that we can easily see from the graph. We have a y-intercept of 0, 7, and we have an x-intercept of 8, 0. So now I'm just going to do the linear regression, get the equation of this line. So here is the equation of this line. All right, so now let's see. See, if you try to like jump across here and you can, if you see, I can't quite get right on 4. It's like really close. So what I'm going to do, basically, really what you're doing is we have this equation, y equals negative 0.875x plus 7. And what I'm doing is setting this y equal to 4 and then solving this for x. So you would subtract 3 from it and get negative 3, and then you would divide that by negative, 0.875, whatever that works out to. However, what I'm going to do is in Desmos, basically when you want to find what x value corresponds to a particular y value, when you want to really, you're solving an equation, linear equation, I'm just going to graph y equals 4 and see where these intersect. So these intersect at the following point, 3.429. Okay, so now when I go through my answer choices, which one of these answers is equal to 3.429? So 7 over 2, nope. 26 over 7, nope. 3.714, not it. 24 over 7, 3.4285. If you round that up, it would be 3.429. So that's most likely the correct answer, but we'll just double check. Yeah, 27 over 8, not even close. So the correct answer for this one is going to be right here, letter C. Now, I would also point out, of course, you can do the work by hand to find the slope. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then after that, since you already know the y-intercept is right here at 7, you could just construct the equation. But I think it's easier just to go straight to Desmos and have it do all the calculations for you. Next up, we have basically equivalent expressions. And what you're going to do here for this one is just factor out a common factor of 5x. So if you do that from the first term, you're left with just x. You do it from the second term, you are left with 10. Excuse me, it's not going to be 10. It is going to be 2. No, it is going to be. Sorry, no, it is going to be 10. 10y squared. So 5x parentheses x minus 10y squared. Correct answer here is going to be letter A. Now, an alternate way you could do this as well is you could technically go to Desmos and you could basically, I'm going to graph the first expression, except I'm not going to use y, I'm going to use a slider. I'm going to use a variable a and set it to whatever number. Now I'm going to go through all the answer choices. And again, every place I see a y, I'm going to put an a. And what I'm looking for is the identical graph which matches my original one. Okay, so notice so far the purple one, answer choice B, is clearly wrong. Okay, that one does not match. Answer choice A, which I already graphed, does match. You could check the last two and see that they don't match because notice when I turn this off, nothing happens. When I But when I take this off, notice it's the exact same graph. So this is how you could use Desmos to, again, match equivalent expressions um, if you just want to double check it or you're not sure about the factoring for it. All right, now for number 10, here we have a function and they just want to evaluate this at 8. So that's relatively simple. We just plug in 8 for x, follow order of operations. It's going to be 5 times 64. That is just 320. Correct answer for this problem is going to be letter D. Again, you could also technically go to Desmos. You could type the function in, and on the next line, you could type f of 8 and get it that way if you wanted to. Um, that's fine, just like we did on one of the earlier problems. Next, we have two parallel lines. They want to know what the value of x is. So these two angles here are same side interior angles. And same side interior angles, when you have two parallel lines and a transversal, are supplementary, meaning they add up to 180 degrees. So x plus 26 equals 180. X is going to equal 154. Therefore, correct answer is going to be letter D. Also, you should be able to reason your way to get that just by looking at the picture, even though it says it's not drawn to scale. Like, obviously, this angle is not going to, be it's way too small to be 13 degrees or 26 or even 52 degrees. Like, you can see it's clearly more, more than 90. And there's only one answer choice, which has a number that is more than 90. Next, on number 12, we have a basic probability question here. So you have a 14-sided die. What's the probability of rolling a 2? So there are 14 total sides, so the total number of outcomes goes on the bottom, which would be 14. And how many favorable outcomes are there? Well, there's only one 2 on the die because it says it's, each side is numbered from 1 to 14. So it's not going to be 2, 14. It's going to be just 1 over 14. Correct answer for this one is letter A. Again, just 1 over 14 because there's one favorable outcome, which is the one side with the 2 out of 14 total outcomes. Next in 13, we have a scatter plot, basically a best fit line, linear regression, whatever you want to call it. We have a scatter plot, but then also it shows a best fit line or a linear regression. So what's the equation of this line? So a couple different things. First of all, notice that the y-intercept right here is between 2 and 3. Okay, so the b value is like something between 2 and 3. So c and d can be eliminated right away because they have negative y-intercept values. Also notice the slope is a positive number. So just by process of elimination, okay, this is going to be answer choice A. You don't even need to do any work or calculations to figure out. You can eliminate the other three answers because they have either a slope or a y-intercept with the wrong sign value. Now, just to show you, you could also, though, if you want to confirm, you could go to Desmos and basically what you want to pick are points on the line itself. So let me see there if I can scroll in here just to make it a little bit larger. Okay, so let's see, is there anything that actually goes right through a point? It looks like we have one right here. It looks like 715. It's like right on the marks. And also maybe right here as well, 38. So let's go to Desmos. Let's just do a linear regression. Zoom back to regular size. Add those 2 points, 715, 38. Okay, now the numbers aren't going to match exactly, but notice they're pretty close. It gives us a slope of 1.75, but that's pretty close to positive 1.7. And the b value it gives us is 2.75. That's pretty close to 2.8. So basically that tells me is it doesn't go through exactly these points. Like it's one of these is maybe a little bit off. But in any case, we got values that are close enough to determine, again, confirm it's going to be letter A is the correct answer here. Next up, question 14. Here we have a data set, and now we're going to make a new data set by adding 56 to each of these numbers. So like in the first one, that means instead of having 5 values that are 22, we're going to add 56 to each of them. So if we do that, that would give us like 78 here, and then we'd have 5 dots. And then 79 would have 4 dots, 80 would have 3 dots, 81 would have 2 dots, 82 would have 1 dot. Okay. So which of these correctly, so we're comparing the mean and the range, okay? So first of all, notice the range, which is just the difference between um, the highest and lowest values, hasn't changed. It's 4 for the first one, 26 minus 22. So the range for the first one is 4. The range for the second one is also still 4. Okay? So the range of B is equal to the range of A. So if we go through the answer choices, we can eliminate this one. It's not greater. We keep A, range is equal. We keep C, range is equal. And we can eliminate D. Okay. So now, how do the medians compare? Well, the middle value when all your numbers are between 78 and 82 is obviously going to be greater than the middle value when everything's between 22 and 26. All of these numbers are 56 more than all these. So the median is also, it turns out, going to be 56 more. So therefore, the median of B over here is obviously greater than the median of A. Correct answer for this is going to be letter C. Now, you could also technically type, go to Desmos, you could type the median function, and then you could list out all 15 values for A and all 15 values for B, just if you weren't sure or you weren't able to figure that out. But it will take a little time because you got to type, basically 15 numbers. You can't put it in a frequency table. Next up, number 15. Here we have basically a linear equation, and this is an interpretation problem. So it tells you this interior designer earned this total amount of money from doing consulting and drawing up plans. So if you think about it, on the right side, this is total dollars. Okay, that means each of these two things, whole expressions added together, represent total dollars. Okay, but we know that X is a number of hours and Y is a number of hours. So the way you would get the hours into total dollars is basically multiply it by, the pay rate or the per hour cost. Dollars per hour times hours, and then you would just be left with dollars. So the 68 here is going to represent dollars, specifically the dollars per hour for consulting, because it tells us up here consulting for X hours. So X is number of consulting hours. So the 68 is the dollars per hour paid for consulting. So the correct answer to this is going to be just letter A. Next up, number 16. Here we have a system of equations. They want to know what the value of y is or where these two equations intersect. So if you want to do this by hand, notice all you really have to do is plug in 8 for x and then go ahead and simplify this out. 8 squared, 64, 64 plus 8. Y is just going to be 72. So this is actually not a difficult system of equations to solve. But of course, we could also go to the Desmos calculator and put x equals 8, and we could put y equals x squared plus 8. And now where do they intersect? Well, let's zoom out. And now we can zoom back in, and it should highlight, there it is. It highlights the gray dot right where they intersect. What's the value of y? 72, same answer that we got, doing it the algebraic way, letter D. Next up, number 17, they give you a graph of, this is actually a rational expression. I just want to know what is the value at f of 0. Really what they're asking here is, what is the y-intercept? because when x is 0, that's the y-intercept value, and it's just right here. It's 3. Correct answer to this one is just 3, letter D. Nothing more to do. Next, we have another function. This one, though, is a radical function, and they want to know what's the value of x when it's equal to 48. In other words, when y is 48, what is the x value? So if you want to do it by hand, you could just set 48 equal to 8 root x, divide by 8. 6 equals the square root of x. And by now, hope you recognize, what number when you take the square root of it do you get 6? Well, it's just going to be 36. Correct answer is going to be letter C. Of course, we could go to Desmos and solve this as well. Again, the way I like to do this is I like to so if you set this equal to 48, you have 48 equals 8 root x. I like to graph y equals both sides. So y equals the left side, y equals the right side. We'll come down here to get the radical. Now, zoom back here. We got to scroll up a ways. Okay, now where do they intersect? Right here. 36, 48. We want the x value from that intersection. So again, correct answer is 36. That's how you could get it in Desmos. For 19, we have a line, and they give us the slope, and they give us a point that it passes through, and they want to know the equation for it. So we can just start off with y equals mx plus b, and we can plug in the y coordinate value, we can plug in the slope, we can plug in the x coordinate value, and then we can solve for b. So we multiply the m times the x, get -3, add 3 to both sides. B is equal to 13. So if you look at the answer choices, there's only even one of them that has a b value, a y-intercept value of 13, and it's going to be down here. Correct answer has to be D. Of course, we just wanted to write it out, -1/3 x plus 13. Now, you could also solve this entire problem in Desmos. Might be quicker, might not be, but all you have to do is just make the table, put in 1 point, since that's all we're given, and then when you do the linear regression, you're going to enter the slope in. And really now all we're solving for is b. Okay, so b is 13. Again, go here. Only one answer choice that has a y-intercept of 13, a letter D. Number 20, we have basically a word problem. So this is essentially a system of linear equations you're going to set up and solve. You have two groups of people, children and adults. Let's say adults are X, children are Y, and at total you'd have 21 at a time. That's what it tells us initially. Okay, then it tells us that it got $1,440 and it charges $80 per adult. So the total revenue would be $80 times the number of adults, and then $60 per child. So total revenue, $60 times Y, number of children. So we're going to solve the system of linear equations. I mean, you could go ahead and you could, you could do this by hand. I'm not going to bother spending time doing it because it's much easier just to figure it out in Desmos. So I'm just going to graph the first line, and now I'm going to graph. I'll have to zoom out. There, we got a nice picture of it. Graph the second line. That should be a Y. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Where do these two lines intersect now? So right here at 9, 12. Now, do we want the x value of 9 or the y value of 12? So the thing is, if you read the question, it says how many people in the group were children. So notice for children, I used y. Okay, so I want the y coordinate. I want the 12. The correct answer for this one is going to be letter C, 12. Okay, there were 12 children out of the group, and there were obviously 9 adults out of the group, but 12 is what they're asking for here. Again, letter C. All right, for 21, this problem, quadratic equation, how many distinct real solutions does it have? So if you were going to do this one by hand, basically what you're checking is the discriminant, the b squared minus 4ac part of the quadratic formula that's under the radical. And you're seeing, is it greater than 0, less than 0, equal to 0. You plug the numbers in. You got 10 squared minus 4 times 5 times 16. So that's 100 minus uh, 20 times 16, which is 320. It's negative 220. That is less than 0. So that means there are no real solutions. The only two solutions you will have are complex numbers. Okay, so the correct answer to this one is D, 0. Just to show you, you could get this in Desmos and it would be probably much quicker and much easier. So here's how to do it. Let's graph out the equation. Okay. So since this is equal to 0, like when I graph this out, the real solutions are technically what you're looking for is the x-intercepts. Okay? So when it says how many distinct real solutions does it have, really when I look at the graph, I'm answering how many x-intercepts does it have? Well, none. So correct answer is just D, 0, and that's it. And you can move on. All right, question number 22. Here we have a circle. You are going to shift the circle down 4 units in the xy plane, and they want to know which equation represents this new circle, shifted down 4 units. So the easiest way to do this, honestly, is to go to Desmos and graph the original circle and just graph the answer choices and see which one shows you a new circle shifted down 4 units. So there's the original. Okay, there is the new circle. So let me just zoom in because to get a better picture of it. All right, so let's see here. This first circle has a point of 0, 0.8 at the top here in the center. Okay, this new circle has a point of 0, 0.4. Is that shifted down 4 units? Sure looks like it. This one has 0, -4 to 0, -8. So this is A is going to be the correct answer. You can try out the others. So like make this -6. Nope, here it went up technically by 4 units. And then for the last two, those are going to be shifting it left and right because it's then adding or subtracting the number in the x parenthesis. So you don't need to bother checking those. I'll just show you one of them, just to confirm. So x minus 4, quantity squared there. See, it shifted it to the right. And if you do +4, it's just going to shift to the left. So that's wrong. So again, correct answer is going to be, for this one, letter A. Now, the whole reason that this happens is because the whole reason a lot of people think, oh, you're shifting it down, and when you do a vertical shift, like shifting down 4 units means just you put a -4, say, at the end normally of the thing, or with the y. And that would technically give you b. If you have y minus 2 squared and you put a -4 in there, well, that'd make y minus 6. But that's wrong. The reason that's wrong is because the y is inside a parentheses here, just like the x. So you have to treat it, even though it's a vertical shift, because of the parentheses, it's like you have to do the opposite to get the intended effect. So if you want to shift down 4 units, move down 4 units, what you actually have to do is you have to put a +4 inside the parentheses with the y. You have to do, the opposite. So you add 4 in here, because again, the reason you do that is because the y is in parentheses. So that's why it becomes y plus 2. But again, you don't need to understand the theory behind it. All you need to know, to do is basically just graph them out and you can just see, Um, Also, another thing too, another complete separate way you could think about this, you could do this, is look at the original circle. Its center is at 0, 2. So if you want it to shift down 4 units, you want the new center. So this is for A, this is for B. You want the new center to be at 0, -2. So just go through all these answer choices and see, okay, which one of these has a center at 0, -2? Okay, these are obviously out. They don't have an x coordinate of 0. Well, this is 0, 6. That's wrong. So it's got to be by A, by process of elimination, but I mean, it does have the center of 0, -2. So there's multiple ways you could solve this question. All right, so that was practice test 4, the Bluebook app, math module 2A, the easier of the two second modules that you get. Any questions or comments, please do leave them below. Look out for the other videos on practice test 4, both module 1 and also module 2B, the harder of the second modules from this practice test. Otherwise, subscribe to my channel, sign up for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it as well.